Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV. Hope you're all doing very well indeed. It's the day of the Club World Championship. It's not Club World Cup, I don't even know the proper name of that. I mean, it's another Mickey Mouse trophy, unless we win it, of course. And if we do win it, then we'll be the world champions, better than Argentina and all that stuff. You bet your bottom dollar that I'm gonna have a field day if City win this cup tonight. I'm still in Paris. I actually was going to fly back to the UK today, but I decided to spend a couple more days in France. We hired a car, got a Tesla out there. It's an unusual car, never driven an electric before, so that's unusual straight away to start with. And it does 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds. It's just a standard car. It's not one of these ludicrous mode cars, but 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Haven't put it through its paces yet. Yesterday, I'll tell you about my little trip to France. Yesterday was spent a bit of tourist stuff up in Paris. I'll put some pictures up for you guys to have a look at. Went to, if you ever come to Paris, especially at Christmas time, you want to go up to Boulevard Haussmann, and we went to Galerie Lafayette, which is a bit like a Selfridges. It's a massive store on about 5 floors, and then they've got some other stores dotted around. They've got a food, I can call it a food joint. It's a little bit more than that. Gourmet shop, that's quite large as well. And then they've got another building nearby, which is a men's department store. So it's like a big department store, like for Selfridges, and great pictures. And if you go up to the top, they've got a terrace, a roof terrace, and very good panoramic views of Paris. You can get, obviously you can see the Eiffel Tower. It's huge there. You got the Basilica de Sacré-Cœur on Montmartre. You got the Pantheon. You can see in the distance things like the Arc de Triomphe. I think you can see Notre Dame Cathedral. Lots of other fantastic buildings. Anyway, that's the trip to Paris. That's not what the video's about. That's not what the video's about. Today's video is about Kalvin Phillips. Kalvin Phillips and the poor guy, surplus to requirements at City. Well, he was never a requirement at City. I mean, which is a massive shame for Kalvin Phillips. A bit noisy here today. It's a massive shame for Kalvin Phillips, but it looks like he's off in January. We talked about this a few times, about clubs that are interested in him. In the past, Liverpool had been interested in the summer. Apparently that's not going to happen because they've got their own players, and we don't want to give let our players go to places like Liverpool or Man United. Had been interested, but they ain't got money. Man United haven't got the money. They haven't got to piss in at the moment, a pot to piss in. I was trying not to swear, but they haven't got anything. They haven't got the money to go out and get Kalvin Phillips. And I mean, he'd get it in the neck. Being an ex-Leeds, ex-Man City, going to Man United, that ain't happening. The two clubs where this seems to be the most interest, because they need the players, they need the bodies, is Newcastle and Juventus. Now, before I look at which club he might go to, why does he need to move? Well, he's not playing. That's the bottom line. He's not playing for City. We saw that game recently where Pep had a midfield with Rico Lewis in, with John Stones, with can't remember the third guy, Akanji, and no space for Kalvin Phillips. So there's no future. We said it many times. There's no future for Kalvin at City. He's got to go. He's got to leave if he wants to play football, and if he wants to play in the Euros next summer. It's a big thing. I mean, he's been lucky with Gareth Southgate, because Gareth Southgate, for all his faults, he does stick by the players he likes, players he feels have done well for him, so he'll stick by them. And Kalvin Phillips is one of them. He keeps playing him, even though he's not featuring that much at all for City. He's not playing. Same with Maguire. When Maguire wasn't playing for United, he kept playing him. But there's a lot of noise around the fact that some players are still not playing for their clubs. How can they feature for England? I think Gareth will probably still pick him, but Kalvin doesn't want to be part of the squad. He wants to be playing. You know, it's all well and good picking up winners' medals, but you can see at City, he's won the treble. But he could win the treble again this year. But it's not worth it. He's got his medals. He wants to play. He wants to move on. He's 28 years old. He's got to be playing football at this stage of his career. And if he wants to squeeze into the actual starting 11 for England, he's got to feature. He's got to be playing. So he's got to move on. Now, the two options, apparently, the two options that we seem to be looking at is Juventus and Newcastle, both of them on loan. Now, normally I'm not keen on a loan move. Well, certainly not a loan move where he's coming back in the summer. That's no good for us. It's probably okay for Kalvin because he'll get some football, get some game time. But I think for me, I want him gone. I want him gone permanently. I want to get some decent money in for him. Just move on. Close the chapter, move on. I don't want like the Cancelo chapter. Don't want him to like go to Bayern Munich and then come back. No, I want a loan with an obligation to purchase. So let's look at Newcastle. Obviously, Newcastle had got a lot of injuries. They had at the last count they had 11 injuries, and in the last game they got another injury. Got Tonali out, suspended for 8 or 9 months for that betting issues. So I think they're obviously going to be very interested, especially if they can get him on a loan. It's an extra body. It's a quality body. You know, let's not get this wrong. You know, Kalvin Phillips is still a very, very good footballer. He's an England international. You know, all right, you might say there's not a lot of choice in his position, but he's an England international. He should still be part of that Euro squad, whatever happens next summer. So Newcastle are going to get themselves a talented player who obviously knows the Premier League. He'll fit straight in. Good for City that he won't play against us, and he might play against your Arsenals. For Newcastle, he might play against your Liverpools and Aston Villas and stuff, and might help to take points off them. Obviously, all that stuff is good for City. So I can see that as an option, and I think that's a good option. He just has to make sure he's going to get enough game time, but right now he's certainly going to get plenty of game time. Things might change in 2 months when Newcastle might have 7 or 8 more players back, and it might have an impact on him. But I think right now that's a good option for Kalvin. Another option is the Juventus option. Now, part of me can see that's a good option. Part of me can see some of the disadvantages. It's great to go to a new country, fresh start, fresh, everything, but you're less visible. That's the issue. He's going to be less visible to Gareth Southgate. Now, Gareth Southgate might be quite happy to go, on a couple of trips to Italy to watch Kalvin play. Nice bit of designer shopping night in Italy, who knows? But so I don't think the visibility thing is probably, for me, I don't think it's going to matter too much. But I think, especially with the Euros coming up, it might be in the back of his mind. You're going to, I don't know what his linguistic skills are like, but you go into a new country, you go new language, new food, new league, new everything. Everything's going to be different. And going in January, is that going to be too much to take on for him? Is that going to be too much to have, basically 4 months? Let's say he goes at the end of January. I'll quickly talk about that at the end. If he goes at the end of January, he's got February, March, April and half of May. He's got 3.5 months to find his feet and get him playing football. I've been playing well. Maybe that's, in my opinion, maybe that's a little bit too much. It's asking a little bit too much of him to be able to do all that so quickly. So maybe it's, for me, maybe it's not as appealing, but it all depends on the offer. If Newcastle or Juventus say, well, we're going to do it as a loan with a permanent option, he'll consider that. It might be, the money might be cracking, the money might be fantastic in Italy, and he'll go for that. Or Newcastle, if they're going to do a permanent deal at the end of the loan, he'll have to look at where he wants to be. Which club will enhance him, and if it's a short term, which club will enhance him in the short term, make sure he's a definite for England in that squad and possibly a starter. and make sure it will enhance his future, because obviously he ain't going to stay at City. So if he just go on a short-term loan, he's got to enhance his career prospects and a permanent move after that. When will City let him go? Here's an interesting thing. In one of the press conferences, Pep talked about you reading between the lines. I think we said it looks like he might stay till the end of January. Now, why would you do that? Why would you keep the player until the end of January? I think that might simply be because, okay, and I chatted with Bernard about this. I don't totally believe it myself. In case of several injuries, I mean, it might happen. You might lose 2 or 3 players, and you might be desperate. You have to be desperate to start Kalvin Phillips or to require his services. Now, to be honest, if Pep's going to have a midfield of Stones, Rico, Lewis and Akanji in a league game, it makes me feel there's no space for Kalvin Phillips. Even if we had 3 or 4 injuries, Pep would find another way. You know, we'd have to have Rodri out, Kovacic out, Nunez out, Stones out, Rico, Lewis, and I just can't see it. I just can't see it. So, but I can understand the desire not to let him go straight away in January, but just in case. But as I said, on the other hand, I don't see that just in case for Kalvin. I just don't see it happening for him. So he's gonna move. Needs to. I said that many times. He should have gone in the summer, in my opinion. Should have gone in the summer, but he needs to move now. He needs to get it done. Put this. I'm not going to call it a sorry episode, because look, he's won a treble at City. He's apparently a good lad. I think he's enjoyed it overall. He's won trophies. You know, trophies that he wouldn't have won at Leeds or potentially somewhere else. And whatever happens, he's got them in the bag. Regardless of how little he might have played, he's got those trophies in the bag. And yeah, it's something to tell your grandkids, you know, all those fantastic players who never won anything. You know, people like Steven Gerrard, who never even won a Premier League title. So, you know, he won other stuff, yeah. So, but still, you know, you look someone like Matt Letizia, top player. What did he win? So Kalvin's got them, and he'll take them, you know, to the end with him. He'll tell his grandkids about the time he played for City, a cult hero at City. But anyway, he'll move on in January. Money-wise, final thing, I don't know what permanent deal for Kalvin Phillips would look like. No, there's a lot to consider. Clubs will look at the fact he's not played that much and use that trying to get the money down. They'll look at the fact that he's 28 years old. But if Romeo Lavia, or he's only 20 years old, can go for 50 million, 53 million, if other players are going for ridiculous amounts, I don't see why we can't recoup somewhere in the region of 40 million pounds of Kalvin Phillips, 35 to 40 million. I don't think City are going to mess about too much over a few million quid. And then we just move on from there and, you know, get on with our own business, which will be next summer. I can't see us buying anybody in January. But there you have it, guys. Kalvin Phillips will leave. I reckon it will be to the Newcastle or Juventus. Can't see anybody else offering a good enough, not deal, but a good enough prospect for him. You know, good enough short-term project to help him maintain his spot in the England team. Guys, if you're new to the channel, it would be fantastic if you could subscribe. If you can hit that bell icon, you'll be notified as soon as new videos come out. See you around, Blues.